What am I doing right now? I'm destroying 175 days of playtime in a matter of seconds. That's 4,200 hours of playing as a Hardcore Ironman that I'll never get back. And the worst part is, I'm doing it on purpose. You might be thinking, what is wrong with you, Rendi? But in this particular circumstance, I believe what I did was worth it, and you will see how all of that concludes towards the end of this video. This video is going to be a wild ride. I would consider it almost as crazy as the first episode in this series, which included the Mushroom and Nolan Priest and Peril XP, if that gives you any hint as to where this video is headed. Now, I value the Ironman status on this account much more than the Hardcore status. The Hardcore was just kind of a benefit, and I've said since the beginning. Cue the throwback here. And when I say survive, I don't mean as a Hardcore Ironman. The status itself really doesn't mean much to me. It's just the challenge of being an Ironman that makes my goals on this account so much more difficult, but yet enjoyable for myself. I've always looked at the Ironman status as symbolizing the significance of these grinds, not really the Hardcore status, which I find less important. So I did sacrifice something, but in my eyes, I achieved a great swap, a great trade, and you'll see why. This might not make any sense right this second, but I saved myself thousands of hours by dying today. So now, we're an Ironman defense peer. And this is the Defence Saga series, where we take on some of the most convoluted and obscure challenges in the game. In this series, we're attempting to complete tasks that no other defense peer Ironman has ever done, or less than a handful of accounts have completed throughout the entire game. This is because I built this account for one goal and one goal only: to be as unique as possible, no matter the consequences and no matter what it takes. Welcome back to one of the craziest episodes yet. Before I get into the insanity that this video is about to be, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's video, the military online game War Thunder. When I play this game, it makes me feel like Tom Cruise on a Sunday in Top Gun, because I'm literally piloting some of the craziest aircraft, and there's over 2,000 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, especially if I want to be an admiral that day. The planes and vehicles in this game are incredibly detailed and are modeled down to their individual components, offering a highly immersive combat experience. War Thunder offers these intense PvP battles at various immersion levels for all play styles. The collection of vehicles span over 100 years of development from the 1920s to the present day, and that means whichever experience you prefer, you will find it here. I personally love destruction, so the fire and smoke effects, soundscape, and landscape of this game is graphically impressive. So what are you waiting for? Feel like Tom Cruise and blow some stuff up today? Try War Thunder for free now on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox using my link below. The link will give you a large free bonus pack including multiple premium vehicles, premium accounts, boosters, and more. So we're coming up on one of our major end goals for this account. In the last episode, I tried to get 43 strength bonus and theoretically craft a way to get the Freminnik kilt, which on average could take us 3,000 hours to acquire for just that singular strength bonus we need to hit a 2 with a poison weapon, non-potted with our 1 attack and 1 strength. This would help us greatly in the fight caves by increasing our accuracy roll by now being able to hit 3 hits, 0, 1, or 2, instead of just a 0, 1, and 0 misses. I also mentioned in the last episode that Freminnik kilt was the only traditional way of ever achieving the 43 strength bonus goal exactly to a T, but maybe there was a more convoluted and alternate way to achieve this strength bonus. I dipped my fingers a little bit into this in the last episode as well, where I tried to equip steel poison weapons hoping they didn't have an attack requirement. I tried every variant of poison, normal poison, P++, I tried hostas even, I tried spears, and this is because historically Jagex has messed up some attack recs on some items, including a steel halberd which had a 1 attack requirement instead of 5 for many years. But let's think further into this theory of how we can get around having to swat at implings for thousands of hours for this 1 kill. Here is my first workaround plan for getting more strength bonus. I am not supposed to be able to get into the Tizhar Inner City because I have not achieved the Fire Cape yet, and I want the 43 strength bonus before I get the Fire Cape, so I cannot get access to Obsidian Legs, that is under traditional means. That is because the Obsidian guard at the gate here will check if you've shown him your Fire Cape before you can go inside that part of the city. I tested a lot of unorthodox things here to get around this, but just in the end, nothing truly worked. Despawning the guard didn't work, getting him out of your line of sight didn't work, there's always a chat dialogue there, and I would never be able to get enough of the combat achievement points to get elite tasks fully done to teleport straight into the city, as this account is super restricted to what bosses and what boss achievements it can complete. So, plan B, the only other possible unorthodox method of getting the strength bonus without having to spend thousands of hours to get it killed, and that was somehow wielding a Berserker Helm. The Berserker Helm has 3+ strength bonus, which would be well over what we needed for the 43 strength bonus goal since we're now at 42. But there was a problem. The Freminnik Trials gives tons of reward XP. 2,800 XP in both strength and attack, which would basically fail our account, putting us both at 16 attack and strength. So how would I get around this? Well, my original idea was maybe I could just complete the Freminnik Trials quest up till the last step, and possibly with just the 7 council member votes and not the full quest completion, I could simply wear any Freminnik helm, including a Berserker helm. I even asked Jeoparite, the Freminnik god himself, if he ever tried equipping some of the Freminnik helms he got from Barbarian Assault Gambles in his Northern Locked Ultimate Iron Man series, since he had mid-quest completion for quite a while, and he said he had, but he had never tried it past the 7 council vote. So maybe, just maybe, you don't even need the quest completed to wear these helmets. I've had this thought for a while, but I just thought it was way too absurd to be true. Even in one of my kick streams, the only one I've ever done, by the way, I do plan on streaming more in the future, but not right now, I had been asked the question if I ever thought of any other strength bonus routes than the kilt, and I answered them with this. I think I could possibly have some really long shot at getting strength bonus by doing like Freminnik Trials to the very last step, getting the 7 votes, and maybe, just maybe, you could access the Berserker Helm shop and literally buy it out of the shop and wear it without the full quest completed, but that's like, once again, a very long shot and something that's likely not going to work. I haven't tested it yet, so I don't know. It's as if with these words, I manifested this idea and the process of getting a Berserker Helm into my own existence. I don't know how else to describe it, because about a week later, someone who was in that stream sent me this. So the man on my stream, my friend, his name is DFS. He's a member of a huge clan chat, Defence CC, which is for defense peers only, and this was posted in their Discord. It confused the hell out of me because there was just a man punching sand crabs next to another defense peer of that clan, and he was wielding an archer's helm, full range gear, but punching, and he somehow had this archer's helm equipped with 1 attack and 1 strength. Yeah, it's not like he hadn't logged out yet because his combat level was accurate. It's not like the high scores just didn't update. So I got on this as quick as possible. I even added this guy's current username to track him, which was great because he decided to change it twice almost instantly, then for some reason fail his account, which I'll get into later. Everyone was utterly confused, including me, and I even told my friend DFS here, I was like, dude, I literally just answered this question from you the other day and said this out loud, and it hasn't even been a week yet. So I assumed it was as easy as that. Maybe this guy just got up to the last step and did exactly what I said in a public 100 viewer stream, and that's that. Boy, was I so wrong, and I did not know I would spend the next 100 hours of my life dissecting this man's account to a T and trying to figure out one of the most impossible problems I've yet put myself up against, all in the name of 3 strength bonus. And when I said this video is going to be as crazy as the mushroom video because I nulled Priest and Peril XP, well, it looks like we're going to be having to null another quest XP in today's video. And here's a disclaimer I shouldn't even have to put. Every major event found in this video was sent to the anti-cheat head, and it was forwarded to the proper people to fix it whether or not they believed it should be fixed, as I was told from actual Jagex staff. Yes, we're on better terms now. At least I think so, and with some of them, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to those Jagex workers. So I sent them exactly what had been done, how it could be fixed, and what it could be possibly used for the same day I figured it all out. Along with even some bonus info that I couldn't completely figure out, but I thought might save them some time. So there was something super weird with this guy. As soon as the person who took that screenshot apparently had asked him how are you one attack and strength with an archer's helm, he ran away from the sand crab spot and logged out. I added this account and soon saw it start to name change. He was just trying to vanish off the face of the earth at this point. He also started training his attack a few hours later. At first he trained from 1 to 5 attack, then logged out and it updated the high scores. Then he got 5 to 16 attack and 1 to 16 strength, so it looked like he had actually done the quest, and then trained more and more attack even further and further. I did not understand at all what was going on. Why would this guy fail such a valuable account? And even if he was caught in the act, it's just as bad as making a disgusting garbage account such as this, so why even go through the effort? My immediate answer to that question was, he is either hiding something else, or it still is working and he doesn't want anyone else to find it. Because if it wasn't working, he wouldn't have cared, he wouldn't have tried to cover up the account, and he wouldn't have tried to fail it instantly. That or he's just got an extreme case of paranoia. His username was Fosse Grim, which in turn, if you actually combine these two, it is an NPC inside the Freminnik Trials quest. So it's like his account was specifically built around this quest. I also realized he was still en route. He was training his defense at sand crabs with this weird gear, which still did not make sense at this point, but he was training his defense nonetheless to 55 to wield a Nezi. At the current moment, he was 47 defense in the screenshot, and he had all the requirements stat-wise to complete the Freminnik Isles quest next, but he didn't seem to have it completed as he didn't have over 20 construction from the reward XP, he didn't have the woodcutting reward XP, and much more was just missing, meaning he had not yet completed Freminnik Isles, but he had all the specific requirements too, including 20 construction and the 56 woodcutting. Someone who's figured out how to do this likely is decently knowledgeable in the game, so this isn't going to be an easy method, I believe, and that's also because you can tell he even skipped some of the tutorial island XP, meaning he knows how to manipulate the rats inside the island, and he has built low-level accounts before. My belief that this was an experienced player was later confirmed, as I contacted the original Discord account who found this guy, and he had even a metal clip, a full-on video of him. I analyzed that clip and saw something else that caught my eye and was kind of out of the ordinary. He was punching with almost no gear on, 3s. This account, even if it was potted and in this gear in the strength bonus, should not be able to hit 3s. Also, it's in range gear. I calculated it all out and this account would have needed 118 strength bonus to be hitting 3s in this gear with nothing on his hands. And the LMS boost at this time did not work, and he was there for more than a minute, meaning his decreased stats would have hit down to 16, and therefore he could only hit 2s even at 16 over 1. You can even see that he's been here for longer than 10 minutes because he's running to deaggress the crabs and then running back, which is a 10-minute timer, which means his stats would have been down to 6 over 1 at this point, if not lower. Meaning this isn't an LMS boost. I don't know what this is, I don't know why he's wearing range gear, and how is he getting that strength bonus? Well, maybe it's ranged strength bonus. Jewelage. I covered this 4 to 5 years ago in my very first kind of bug related video on this channel. Anyways, he's basically tricking the game, I believe, into thinking he's using range, and that's why he's having to do it unarmed for more combat XP. Usually in these jewelage bugs, items are forcefully unequipped from your character, and then it thinks you're using the previous combat style like range, but in reality you're training a melee combat style. I did this once by force unequipping a pugil inside a scrying orb, and I could come back out and punch with controlled XP because it still thought I had the pugil equipped. Now anything else that could force unequip your items could possibly have the same effect, but with range to unarmed melee. I believe he has a rune javelin or better on, giving him the 118 strength bonus required to hit a 3, and he's even utilizing yak hide legs if you look closely enough. Those aren't leather chaps, as well as a hard leather body and an archer's helm he's gotten from yet another manip here. So that's why he's going for the maximum ranged accuracy bonus as well, because it gives accuracy to his melee stats. This has to be it. And he's even utilizing this very messed up niche jewelage bug to train his defense to 55, meaning we're dealing with a professional here. Almost to my level. But luckily for me, as you can already tell of course, I'm also a professional investigator. So they're a professional, but what kind of professional? Well, I kind of got a hint whenever they double name changed to Titan H. Mod Titan was an old J-mod, so maybe, just maybe they're either throwing us off track, or this is an ex-J-mod we're talking about who retired in 2010 and knows the basic mechanics behind these very old quests like Freminnik Trials. I don't know, that's a long shot, but also I noticed he never completed Freminnik Isles, yet he was waiting to get the defense level first, which is kind of odd because this quest can give you another 10,000 XP, and you would think to do it first. So I was thinking maybe the jewelage bug he was utilizing was actually inside the Freminnik Isles quest itself, and he wasn't planning on not being able to utilize that until he was at that 55 defense. Because there is a portion of the Freminnik Isles quest where you actually are required to juggle, and that part of the quest makes sure that you don't have any items equipped because you're equipping a jester staff in the place of the cutscene when juggling and doing other jesterly-like tasks. This cutscene had some weird properties such as not allowing you to bring your pet in or other familiars and things such as that, but I could not figure out how to force unequip an item, unfortunately, although it still possibly could be utilizing jewelage through this quest. I'm not quite sure, and like I said, I sent things to JMods and this was one of the things I could not fully figure out. I'm soloing everything myself right now and spending all of this time by myself trying to figure out these niche mechanics in the game. I had known though that he had gone underwater and done Pirate Pete's portion of Recipe for Disaster by calculating his quest reward XP and looking at his stats on the high scores. Also by oddly noticing he's wearing iron gloves here, meaning he's only done some parts of Recipe for Disaster, because as the Defense Peer Ironman you can get up to black gloves. And why do I care about Pirate Pete's subquest? So that was another possible quest that did force unequip your items whenever heading underwater with a diving apparatus, and maybe could be used inside this jewelage bug. I still do not know to this day. But back on topic, I'm not really that interested in hitting 3s with ranged gear, and only being able to do this under very specific circumstances, whereas with most of these jewelage bugs, they totally revert back once you log in and out, or do even some certain things such as turn on prayer. But I did look into this a little bit because I thought it might be related to Freminnik Trials completion without quest reward XP. So yeah, maybe that's why this guy actually ruined his account and hid his username. The jewelage bug is much larger and possibly could have affected other players by using them in scams or things like that wherever you don't know they're actually using a range attack. So anyways, let's get back to the topic of who cares about jewelage. How did this guy equip the Helm with one everything? So this man is a professional, but how much of a professional? How much effort am I going to have to put in to figuring out and basically reverse engineering whatever he did in order to get 0 XP and a Freminnik Helm equipped? Well, it wasn't as easy as just going up to the last step with all the council votes and trying to access shops or wear helms for that matter. That did not work at all. Little did I know I'd be spending the next 100 hours on over 20 different accounts trying to complete this quest without XP. But I couldn't even do this yet because whenever I got all this information in these pictures, I had just gone to the hospital with my wife for 4 days, so I had to sit there on my phone, in my notes on my iPhone, and dissect this man's account before I could even log in. I did do one Freminnik Trials experiment on my actual mobile device, which was unsuccessful. This involved testing the quest and with a system update, and it seemed like it still rolled through the XP. I found on the last dialogue of talking to Brunt the Chieftain that if you clicked off past the second message, he would auto roll through the next 3 and give you the green logged quest along with the XP. It was very similar to how other quests worked in the past, like the feud quest as well as Death Plateau, which were abused by myself about 2 years ago whenever we could wrap quest XP. So if this quest was done 2 years ago with those same methods, we could have wrapped the massive amount of XP that this quest gave, possibly for 6 total hours, and gotten 99 in several stats. I did not know this was one of those quests with those possibilities as I never tested it, but it looks like it could have worked. Now there's a huge failsafe for this now and quest rewards don't wrap. Which got me thinking, what if there's some way of using this new update which fail-safed quest rewards wrapping and XP wrapping, but still green log the quest? I tried many different experiments, therefore, at the end of Freminnik Trials quests in this dialogue. I even tried completing 2 quests at the same time in a queue, which was Temple of Ikov quest, by poisoning Lucian and going against him in the quest finale, then running to Relica and waiting for that last poison to drop to then trigger both quest rewards at the same time, possibly nulling the XP, because that safety might come into play and realize there's multiple quests being completed in the same tick. So as you can see, this attempt was a failure because I got both quest completions. Even though I could stall them and hold them behind interfaces, they were completed and the XP was rewarded. I did try simpler approaches after this, which included partial Mountain Daughter completion because it changes the dialogue with Brunt the Chieftain, the guy who you have to talk to at the very end of the Freminnik Trials quest. I thought if maybe this quest was partially completed, there was an error and Brunt the Chieftain would not reward you with XP or complete the quest correctly on Freminnik Trials. I combined this test with another one being an extremely long stall from a pet rock, which would possibly just wipe the queue. Probably not, I've done this 1,000 times, but why not try it? Failure. And this, of course, was another failure. We still got the XP. And it was time to try yet another simple solution. That was possibly completing Freminnik Trials all the way up to the 7 vote step, then going and completing an entirely separate quest, which possibly might roll the last quest into completion without XP. Once again a failure, so let's go back to the more convoluted concepts and ideas. So this first one, I'm going to sit here with the quest completion up behind this interface, and then I'm going to attempt to do at least 2 separate skilling inventory actions, and that's going to give me 2 XP drops, this being cooking and herb lore. So the theory was rolling 9 XP actions in the inventory, then the 10th being fishing, before the 11th XP drop rolled in, possibly nulling everything past the 10th XP drop because you can only perform 10 actions in 1 tick, so maybe you can only actually level up 10 XP drops in 1 tick as well. This kind of seemed like it might have not been a coincidence as well that every quest, including Freminnik Trials, never gives you more than 10 XP drops at the end of the quest. There's exactly 10 levels at the end of Freminnik Trials quest. Unfortunately, this did not work and all 10 skill levels rolled in. Even though they did not roll in visually, which I thought was interesting, they did roll on the actual stat. So far nothing worked on the last dialogue, but I figured this must be it because there's only like a handful of total quests where you can click off on the last dialogue and it's held behind an interface with that quest green log and quest XP reward. I noticed as well Fosse Grim was an Ironman that used to be a Hardcore Ironman, so I figured maybe this has something to do with dying. I tried dying while in the last interface and maybe hoping that it possibly nulled the queue of XP after some kind of patch with our old quest looping method. This seemed to not work. During this test, I also performed another test at the same time by having my other account mid-quest and making a non-alcoholic keg, which made all the NPCs have a dialogue and stall for just a tick. I thought this might somehow null Brunt the Chieftain from giving me the quest XP and reward, but nothing significant happened with that as well. I also tried to have a Phoenix Necklace activate while in the interface, and Phoenix Necklaces clears damage queues, so I was thinking outlandishly at this point, and maybe a Phoenix Necklace just clears all queues in general, including the XP drops from this quest. Unfortunately, that did not work either. I tried taking multiple hits of damage, over 10 consecutive hits while stalled, in order to possibly clear out everything past the 10th action taken on my character, similar to the XP idea. I tried more normal approaches inside of this last dialogue to null XP, such as just using a long stall or just teleporting away, such as to my building mode inside my player-owned house to possibly somehow kill the XP, as entering a player-owned house usually triggers multiple player queues in a singular tick. I even tried more outlandish things. I saw the Fosse Grim account had completed 11 easy caskets, which I thought, 11 is one singular more than 10. Once again, 10 is a maximum number in many progressions of ticks used inside the game. So I literally made another account up until the last step of Freminnik Trials, then went and did 11 easy clues for 11 caskets and opened those 11 caskets in front of the dialogue of Brunt's quest completion, thinking that maybe 11 major events triggered on the player might know the next one held behind this interface.
Failure.
Yet again though, another failure. I even tested remotely completing a Slayer task with an alt while under this dialogue, thinking maybe a major player event like this would know the one that's queued behind it. I don't know, I'm just shooting in the dark at this point, and I thought this as well because his account for some reason had 120 manually trained Slayer XP, past the 9 Slayer he got from an RFD subquest, not from the museum because he had no Hunter XP. I know I've dissected this guy's account to a T. Could this be it? Was this the reason the man got 120 Slayer XP?
Failure.
Nope. So at this point, I thought there's no way it has to do with the ending dialogue at all. I've tried everything I possibly can think of. Even though this is a very weird quest and you can click off for completion, it's a very rare thing to see in a quest. Maybe this has nothing to do with how he avoided the XP at all. And therefore I've wasted the last 12 accounts trying these weird techniques at the very finish of the quest. And yes, I completed this quest so far over 12 times. I took my highly trained investigative skills to the world of online, otherwise known as Google, and Googled Freminnik Trials bug. Genius tactic, I know. This actually popped up a lot of things, but they were all from the RuneScape forums and all addressing problems inside of RuneScape 3. But they were related to what I was looking for. People were completing the Freminnik Trials quest without getting the XP lamps at the end, which in RuneScape 3 you get XP lamps instead of quest XP rewards. I looked into the RuneScape 3 Wikipedia and noticed there was a change to Freminnik Trials not that long ago, about a year ago in fact, and this change was never made to the actual quest in old school on their Wikipedia page. Unfortunately, the changelog wasn't very descriptive and had no real explanation for what changed. It just said that the vote system had basically changed, and also this was a little bit after everyone was complaining on the RuneScape forums, about a month. So I believe the two were related. So there were minor discrepancies, and maybe the bug that triggered these people to not get XP in Freminnik Trials that was posted on those forums still existed, but inside of old school. Now when I say there were many links on Google, I mean there was actually like 3. There was 2 posted to the RuneScape forums, and then I searched through Reddit and found a 3rd one posted there with a similar problem. I added all of these usernames and they were practically all inactive. The only person I could find was from the Reddit post in the RS3 Reddit, and I went ahead and messaged him and asked him if he had any recordings of this time or how he progressed through the quest at this time. But nothing really came from it. What this did tell me though is that these people on RuneScape 3, I looked up their stats, they're basically noobs, and they somehow nulled the quest XP. So they did what I've been trying to do on accident, and therefore, it can't be that complicated, right? Well, I looked up some RuneScape 3 quest guides, and most people kill Koshi's final form because it's a lot easier to kill things unarmed due to RuneScape 3's hotbar mechanics and different combat system. And in that area, you're not allowed to bring weapons. Now, in old school RuneScape, killing his final form, the 4th form, is very difficult and almost always requires recoils or purple sweets to finish him off and to get the Freminnik blade drop. But it's not necessary to kill his final form in this quest, as you're really supposed to just die to it. Now, I myself have killed the 4th form many times on different old accounts on OSRS, and I know other people who have as well, so this obviously isn't going to be the only factor they may be doing which leads to nulling the XP. I also noticed they typically get the warrior vote last with Koschei here, and the quest is not progressed in this way through the OSR's quest helper or through the OSR's wiki quest forums, or even through really any Slayer music guides. So with several more accounts, I tried the most inevitable option here, and that is progressing through the quest in really weird means that most people would not use efficiently, such as noobs in RuneScape 3. I also made sure I always killed Koschei's final form in the warrior trial, as whenever you register the vote from the warrior trial in this way, it's a little bit different, and it gives you the vote automatically when the warrior dies, versus whenever you die, and then he talks to you and gives you the vote upstairs in his hut. So after about 12 different orders of quest completion and always killing the final form of the warrior trial, nothing seemed to work. I always ended up with the quest XP and having to talk to Brunt the chieftain in the end. I wasted a lot of purple sweets and recoils killing the deathless form of this NPC like over 12 times, but there was one more thing I wanted to try with him. What if I somehow got more than 7 votes? Would that progress the quest further? Because many of these old quests rely on varbits, and a vote technically is a varbit which progresses the quest journal, such as if varbit equals +1, quest progression equals +1. I don't know how they would have accidentally done this in RS3, but a vote from the council is technically a varbit which progresses the quest journal. If I was able to keep getting more votes, I could then maybe just auto-complete the quest without ever getting the XP or having to talk to Brunt the chieftain in the end. So what does this have to do with the warrior trial, and how would we get 2 votes from it? He seemed to not totally despawn if you died from an earlier form of his in the area, meaning you could keep 2 of his forms up at a time, but they would eventually despawn after 10 minutes. So the last form takes quite a while to kill even with recoils and purple sweets, and I don't know honestly how like a level 20 would have managed to do it multiple times, but maybe you could kill his final form multiple times and get multiple votes. All in one singular inventory, taking a lot of recoils and a lot of purple sweets. Unfortunately, I did try this and you are not allowed to attack his next form. Even if you were allowed to attack his next form, it would likely despawn before you killed it. So maybe the idea of multiple votes wouldn't be possible in this way. But then I had another theory. What if I stalled as he came towards me and he was very low HP, and I ended up killing him at the same time that he ended up nearly killing me and sending me upstairs? Therefore, I could possibly get 2 votes, one from dying to this final form and one from killing the final form. Unfortunately though, after trying this many times, it seemed that he would regen HP back up from 0 to 1 if he actually did manage to hit you down to 1 HP, so you could never get 2 votes from Koshi's final form, at least through my means of testing for around 10 to 20 hours of killing and dying to this NPC. Or is there still a way? I still don't know to this day. Look at this, if you're not in combat with this guy, he'll give you a chat dialogue. And I found out this chat dialogue holds up the progression of the quest that gives you the vote from Thorvald. So if I were to possibly Mithril Seed West one tile and have him smack me again, he possibly would then double queue up more than 1 vote from Thorvald. Now, I don't know if this is possible or if he'd be even aggressive, but I'm not able to get Mithril Seeds anyways. So this might be a way for someone who can do Waterfall quests and get attack and strength XP and Mithril Seeds. But for me, it's a no-go, and it probably won't work anyways, to be honest with you. Also, at this point, I don't even know if extra votes gives you the quest completion, and I don't even know how many extra votes you need. But we're here for a defense peer, so I have a few more ideas I can put to the test. By the way, I've completely memorized this quest now, which I guess is pretty good. Alright, so another couple of dumb ideas I had was basically doing everything, getting the 7 votes, then trying something post-quest that doesn't involve talking to Brunt, like trying to use fires in people's homes even. I found out I can milk this cow here without the quest done, but I cannot use a bucket on a sand pit, for instance. I even paid 1,000 coins to get to Waterbirth Island, which you can do without the quest complete, and talk to Ask Aladdin. I was thinking because he's a quest NPC, maybe you get an extra dialogue there and you can complete the quest without getting the reward XP. I also tried maybe getting a Fermi Blade or another Freminnik item from Market Guards before completing the final quest but having the 7 votes, and maybe that would unlock shops and the ability to wear items or complete the quest. I don't know, I was trying pretty much anything at this point, but nothing was working, and that led me back to the previous idea, getting more votes than I was supposed to. I feel like this route was the route I had to go down, as the Varbit idea seemed the most logical to be working, and what accidentally must have happened to some of these RuneScape 3 players in one way or another. So I tried everything I could while messing with the quest. I couldn't get more than 1 non-alcoholic keg to turn in and possibly get more votes from Manny the Reveler. It just wouldn't let me. I tried playing the lyre more than once by dropping it while in interface to keep it enchanted, then playing it again in the same area before leaving because you cannot re-enter. This would have worked because that's whenever you actually earn the bard's vote right after playing that song. But there was a failsafe for that as well. I tried even getting multiple hunter talismans and turning them in one at a time to get multiple votes from the hunter's trial, but once again he just decided to take 1 talisman and not recognize the rest, or take all of them in one go. I tried getting multiple votes by doing weird things in all 7 of the trials, but only one thing seemed to do something somewhat weird, and that was the Merchant's Trial. If I ever got a second promissory note from Ask Aladdin halfway through his trial, then that portion of the Merchant's Trial on the quest log actually would not be crossed off before I had to talk to Brunt the Chieftain, which I thought was odd because after messing with every other trial, this is the only way I could get the quest log to change in any way, shape, or form, just by not crossing off a very small portion, but in the end I would still have to turn in everything for XP to Brunt anyways. So on about my 25th account at this point, I decided to try and figure out how to complete the Merchant Trial more than once, and this was going to be done by once again getting multiple notes from Ask Aladdin and taking multiple items up until the very last step where you get exotic flowers you hand back in to Sigmund the Merchant. So I was able to get multiple items all the way up halfway through the Merchant's Trial to the back end of it, and it was actually relatively easy. I didn't even have to drop most of the items besides the first one being the cocktail, and I could just talk to these NPCs with extra items in my inventory over and over again to get more of their items to turn into the next NPC. I was able to get multiple flowers, but whenever I turned them in, he would take them all at once, and he would even take them straight out of my bank if I managed to get more than one there. And this is where I thought you could no longer progress the vote, because if you handed him all the flowers at once, he would just give you 1 vote. But I never really thought about handing him the flowers individually, one at a time. But how was I to do this? I couldn't die with these flowers because they're an item that's always deleted on death, meaning they knew to make sure that this item could only be handed in all at once. This was fishy, and I thought I might finally be onto something here. I went to Raids 1 storage and tried to put the flowers there. And normally this chest can actually store untradables, but not this specific one. There was a magical force preventing me from putting it into that storage chest. So I could not hide 1 pair of flowers there while turning in another to Sigmund, and therefore not having him withdraw more than 1 at a time. And since these items deleted on death as well, you couldn't store these in a TOB, temporary death storage, or anything for that matter, because they would delete even in a death such as that. But there is one way I thought of to possibly drop these flowers on the floor, even though they have a destroy option. And no, you cannot put these on a table either. Now, the item won't delete if it's one of your top 3 items, and it's one of the most 3 valuable items on you. So on one of these test accounts, I gathered a bunch of keys from Witch's house under the plant pot. This is one quest item along with many others that you always save on death, no matter if you're skulled, no matter where you are, no matter what. It's just an item that you always keep on death. Another example of one of these items is the Pebble from Waterfall quest, and a lot of keys just throughout the game used in quests. So I figured, what if I equip 2 items, like a Glory and a Combat Bracelet, and I have my 3rd item I protect as the exotic flowers, and then I have 26 keys in my inventory. What's going to prioritize? Well, that was simply just it. It's a forced drop. As soon as I have 28 items come back to me, my items equipped prioritize over the ones in my inventory, and therefore those exotic flowers are force dropped onto the ground wherever I respawn because they cannot fit in my inventory. Despite having a destroy option on them and not being intended to be dropped on the ground, these flowers were in fact on the ground, and they would be there for an hour before they despawned. Now this was a long shot. I didn't think this would work or do anything, but I managed to turn 1 flower in and then force drop the other one with this key method, pick it up, and then turn the second one in. He took my flower like it was just another flower, and then I checked my quest log. It seemed like I had now had an extra vote. I was super excited as this is the first progress I had seen in over 90 hours of testing this quest and over 25 accounts. I now had 2 votes even though I had only done 1 trial. So I got the rest of the votes on the account, and surprisingly whenever I hit that 8th vote that should not be a thing, the Varmint idea seemed to be doing something weird to the quest journal. It looked totally different than it ever had before on this step whenever I should talk to Brunt the Chieftain. And I was even able to access the helmet shop, something I was never able to do before with 7 council votes. But unfortunately I was not able to greenlog the quest, and I was not able to wield any of these helmets, weirdly enough. I simply tried relogging, going to other shops, but nothing seemed to work, the quest never greenlogged, and I just now had this weird quest journal with a yellow Freminnik Trials quest and the ability to open Thorvald's helmet shop. So, time for another account and another test. This time I turned in more than just one extra flower and got more than one extra vote. And as I found out, this was the key. Not 8 votes, but 9 votes would progress the quest with the Varmint value enough to just green log it with no XP reward. We solved the mystery. It only took almost 30 accounts and 100 hours of testing, and even me sitting at a hospital writing on my notes in my phone trying to figure out how to get strength bonus. It was one of the most ridiculous problems I have yet had to solve, but there was a little problem here. This is the Defence Saga series, and I haven't technically solved this yet on my defense pier. And I noticed something. This was only possible with the force drop that involved dying. And once again, I am a hardcore Ironman. Or I was a hardcore Ironman. I already went through every scenario in my head of possibly doing this without dying many times over. I sat there for about 2 hours double checking myself and thought, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. This could be patched any second. I really don't care about the hardcore status of this account. And if it's going to save me 4,000, 3,000, however many thousand hours hunting lucky implings and dragon implings, I'm all for it. And I get a cool unique helm that no one else besides Fosse Grim, who now has ruined his account, has. And why is this going to be patched any second, and why do I have to act now? Well, I've already sent all the details to Jagex and much more. They'll probably change this. They probably don't think it should be in the game, but who knows. So we got to go do this now if we want that 43 strength bonus. I'm taking a little bit different of an approach here. I'm actually going to kill my account first and force drop a Hardcore Ironman plate body on the ground so I can have it in my bank just for a flex, you know, to say one time I was a hardcore, and I can prove it to you that I chose to end it on my own by this force dropped plate body here. There's no other way I could have kept the plate body. So there it goes, 4,200 hours of Hardcore Ironman progress, but we're still an Ironman. We still have unique items that can only be acquired through the same ridiculous means I already spent. Hardcore status does not mean much to me once again, and the Ironman playthrough is what this account is all about. Now for the exotic flower portion of this quest. The best place I'll be killing my account is going to be at Nettles, but not in Edgeville because I really don't want to pay 5 mil for an Edgeville spawn quite yet. I'm going to be using the Nettles behind Draenor. These require 1 extra inventory slot to attempt to pick them up, but that's still fine because we'll have 26 keys as well as our 2 protect over items that will go into our inventory before the exotic flowers. I'm actually going to get a few bit more exotic flowers on here so I don't have to do other steps of the quest. I can keep just running exotic flowers to Sigmund for extra votes in the council, but I want to give Sigmund 8 flowers at least, and then for the 9th kind of nulled vote I want to go into Swinson's hut and do that navigation portion of the quest and see if it auto completes there. Now this is risky because any second this could be fixed, this could be changed. I could be awarded attack and strength XP at the end of the quest even by doing it this way if something is hotfixed in the game. And like I said, we have very limited time at this point. So we have to die one at a time with the flowers to turn them in one at a time. So we're going to be wrapping back and forth between Lumbridge and the Draenor jail. Then we'll be coming to Lumbridge once all of them are dropped, picking one up, then using our Slayer rings we recently got in our last episode in order to teleport to the Freminnik Slayer dungeon, run west from there, hand in a set of flowers, then die. Now that we're not a hardcore Ironman, it does not matter. There's market guards here to help us with that. So I'll end up back in Lumbridge to pick up another set of flowers and use my Slayer ring to then go back to Freminnik dungeon. And I have to do this as quick as possible 8 times because once again we're in a 1 hour time limit. The flowers on the ground will only stay spawned here for 1 hour. So let's hope we do this quick enough without better teleports since we're Ironmen, and let's hope we don't get XP at the end of the quest, finally achieving the possibility of buying and equipping a Berserker Helm with 1 attack and 1 strength as a defense pure Ironman. This is truly a new chapter of the account.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Rendi, and today I hope to take you on a voyage involving the progression of my new account across what I like to call the vast sea of RuneScape knowledge. Yes, this series does continue on, not in the same light I wished it to, and it might stop at one point again, but we are here, back yet again, almost 8 months later since the release of the second episode. So what's truly so insane and impressive about this account? Well, a lot of the progress you're seeing in these episodes has been fixed already, and it's going to be fixed as we go along, because we're crossing the border of what's truly possible in this game, and some things maybe shouldn't be possible.
Phew, no XP, green logged, Freminnik trials. It actually has been done. Let's see if we can equip the helm and go to the shop now. Screw the Berserker helm, look at this thing. I can wield these Freminnik items I got from our Dagonoth episode. This is already just so cool. I can now also start Freminnik Isles, do almost all of the Freminnik Easy Diary except for the Troll Stronghold portion, which I think I can do here soon after they come out with the new point system for combat achievements. I can get the hilt now without needing prayer, and that's going to put me inside the Troll Stronghold with a teleport to God Wars dungeon, and I think I can use the Freminnik sea boots finally. So we'll see if that happens soon, but more soon, let's try out Freminnik Isles quest, and let's see if we can get a Nezi, which is going to be better than the Berserker helm here in terms of defense bonus and prayer bonus. And let's be honest, it just looks 100 times better as well. Now I cannot get a face guard here because it requires Lunar Diplomacy, and Lunar Diplomacy has a hard rec of 65 magic. You can't even start the quest without that. So unfortunately that's a requirement for the Freminnik Exiles, and I'm never going to be able to get that face guard Nezi helmet, even though it looks so nice. I really wish I could get that. Also, throwback to this clip, I got a lot of unique drops like Freminnik helms and shields and a lot of useless things I couldn't even wield because I can never do Freminnik trials because that gives attack XP. Looks like I was completely wrong there because we now can wield the rock shell and the Freminnik pieces we got from doing the Dagonoth Rex grind for that B-ring, which is super cool. First defense peer probably with rock shell and Iron Man at least. That's pretty dumb but cool at the same time. I can also get and wield Jester now from the very first part of Freminnik Isles quest. Technically, I think even a level 3 could wield Jester and get it now with this method. Jester robes are actually going to be like my best in slot magic defense bonus, even though it looks absolutely ridiculous. And I guess I get access to Neitiznot and Neitiznot, which I think there's some clue steps I can possibly do here. The good thing about this account as well is I already have all these skills, all these stats. I have all the requirements for Freminnik Isles, even the ridiculous woodcutting requirement and construction requirement, all of that. So we can do this quest at least up until the boss portion pretty much with ease. And unlike Fosse Grim, we're actually going to complete this quest. I don't need no stupid jewelage, okay? So I'm an idiot right now. I have terrible food. Like all I have left in my bank is chocolate bombs pretty much, and like lobsters and swordfish. So we're using that for the combat portion of this quest. I might have to bank, I don't know. It's looking pretty sketchy here. I'm just having to hit a 1 then run away to this safe spot to kill the required amount of trolls. But I have to do this so many times and I get hit quite often on these. Even with the new yak hide, which by the way actually is better than Jester for magic defense bonus, at least the legs are. Yeah, I can now wield the yak hide along with the Neitiznot shield, which is kind of cool. I've unlocked so many wieldable things here on this defense pier that I never thought would have been possible just a few weeks ago. So we've just barely gotten past the portion of killing these trolls. I have no food. Apparently you can bank though. It doesn't reset progress once you've killed them all, and I can go now and prepare for the boss. Once again, probably with terrible food, but let's try and do it nonetheless. I don't think it's immune to poison. The wiki could be wrong, or I could also use recoils. I'll probably do a combination of both along with this terrible food. Okay, I managed to bring a few brews just in case. We're already wasting food just en route to the boss here. Okay, interesting. I think we're going to be able to kill him. I've kind of found a safe spot and I poisoned him, and I don't believe it's going to be enough poison to finish him off, but I'm going to go in there and recoil him, hopefully only in his ranged area, because I've realized if I step away from him between attacks, he only hits like 2 damage with his range attack because I'm in yak hide, whereas if I just sit in front of him and melee him constantly, I'm really getting beat down with his like special effects and his melee attacks. Alright, that was a close call actually, but first try, we did kill the Ice Troll King. He wasn't immune to poison, and now I'm going to pull his head off his body. I'm going to put this XP on hit points because honestly the hit points cape is so good. I'm going to be focusing on that probably before even the defense cape. I'm kind of scared this is going to reward me with like Freminnik Trials XP too, but no, okay, we're good. It's okay. And there we go, Freminnik Isles completed. I can now wield the Helm, and I'm the first defense peer to do so. Alright. We have 43 strength bonus and we have a Helm. This is a beautiful day. Actually 45 strength bonus by the way, because we no longer got just +1, we got +3 from the helmet. The strength bonus is what I've been striving for over 2 years now, since the beginning of the series, and it feels so wonderful to finally hit it. In the end, instead of going for that Freminnik kilt, it's kind of poetic. Instead, we ended up doing a Freminnik quest. I never thought it would come down to this. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be able to finish Freminnik Trials, much less Freminnik Isles, but here we are. Another interesting thing about this is I can wield a KP spear now with the helmet, and because of the extra +2 from the helmet, it gives me enough to hit 2s with the spear. So the DFS in some regards wasn't completely necessary, but it's a huge flex item anyways. I love the way this thing looks, and I'm still satisfied with the grind and getting it in the end. I'm going to be bringing it anyways into the fight caves for extra tank gear, and I can be, poking with a bone dagger and switching between that and spear later on. And so I plan on using both. And yeah, just the amazing outfit right here. I look like a full-on main, but I'm 40 combat, and I'm an Iron Man. This was definitely worth the sacrifice of the hardcore, in my opinion. I now have all these awesome quests done that I otherwise wouldn't have done. Even if it is just strength bonus, I'm more just like honestly excited about being able to wield all this new gear. And one last thing here, it is the day of the combat achievement update. I can now get the points I need. Thanks to the help of a friend, I did some TOB tasks here because once again, 1 per Mortania access as well on this account. God damn, this account is beautiful. And now we have the easy combat achievements completed. Therefore, we have the hilt, and we have a teleport 3 times daily to God War's dungeon without the need for Death Plateau quest. Now, Death Plateau quest can't be completed on this account because it gives 16 attack, but hell, at this rate, who knows in the future? I went ahead and went to Troll Stronghold, went through the Troll Stronghold, did the last step of the Freminnik Easy Diary, and now we can get Freminnik Sea Boots. Freminnik Sea Boots 1, Not the handiest thing, but they do give me a direct teleport to Relica, whereas the Freminnik dungeon teleport on the Slayer Ring isn't quite as good. I can also maybe go to Temperos at some point and get a bunch of raw sea turtles, manta rays, sharks to imbue a lyre now that I have Freminnik Trials completed, and I can give that infinite charges and get a lot closer rather than using Slayer Rings. I don't know if I'm going to do that. If I do, it's going to be a very long-term goal because that's a lot of fishing. Oh yeah, by the way, I decided to go through the back end of Troll Stronghold without Death Plateau completed to try and start Troll Stronghold using one of these Varbit things again. And so I decided to kill Dad and see if that would progress me through the Troll Stronghold quest, even though I had not even started it yet because I could not complete Death Plateau. And it did. It yellow logged my quest book for the Troll Stronghold, but I could not complete Troll Stronghold all the way. I could free the man's son and get to the very last step of Troll Stronghold, and I was so excited because I was like, wow, I can do so many quests if Troll Stronghold's completed. I can do Edgar's Ruse and get so many more quest points, but no. Unfortunately, whenever you go back to Denolth to tell him about his son coming back to him, he still has the old Death Plateau dialogue. And I've even tried progressing partially through Death Plateau to see if this dialogue changes and to see if he'll complete the Troll Stronghold quest, but he will not. I've tried almost everything here. Maybe I'll figure it out someday in the future. Maybe we could get Troll Stronghold someday green-logged without the attack XP from Death Plateau and then do Troll Romance and all those other fun quests just for some more quest points. Why not? Once again, this is a completionist account, and now we're no longer restricted to hardcore. We can go in the wilderness, we can perform more risky boss tasks, we can go for more items, we can juggle food now on the ground with our grave, and do much, much more, such as utilizing force drops. As dumb as it all sounds, I am now more excited just to be playing normal Iron Man mode for the simple fact that I can do all of these new things. So I hope you all are as hyped as I am now for the future progression of this Defense Pier Iron Man and still achieving the most unique items as possible and making this the most badass account yet. I'm going to be going for Fight Cave sooner rather than later, hopefully even in the next episode, who knows. I don't yet have 99 defense or 99 HP or a lot of tank gear, but I can hit 2s now, so why not put everything to the test, put my purple sweets on the line, try it out, and complete a Fight Cave in order to get that fire cape with my new helmet on my head. Once again, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video for making it possible, War Thunder. Make sure you check it out on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation. There's a large free bonus pack for using my included link below. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. It's been one hell of a ride. Even for myself, figuring all this out, I was literally meditating on ideas on how to complete Freminnik Trials quest. It took me a lot more effort than I first thought it would, so shout out to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. If you are looking forward to future videos, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate every one of you watching today's video. Also, shout out to my Tier 2 Patreon supporters and all of the other Patreon supporters. And lastly, shout out to the Scold for making all the amazing animations and B-roll in today's video.